Hi, my name is Bob and I'm renovating this 1973 Egg Harbor Sportfish boat. Well, hello everyone, welcome to Renovation Sportfish. In this episode we're going to pick up right where we left off in the last episode, working on the interior here. Now, I'll have to warn you, there is some sanding in this episode. I have to do some sanding on film because probably 50% or more of what I do over here is sanding in one way or another. And it wouldn't really be right if I didn't show actual sanding on a boat when that's over half of what you're actually doing. No matter what kind of boat you're doing. Wood, fiberglass, even steel, doesn't matter. So, going to be a little bit in this one. I won't do this that often, but I feel like I have to do a little bit of it. I mean, these videos are for me just as much as they are for you, and someday when I'm old and watching these things, I just want to know how much of an idiot I was to sand so much. So anyways, that's what we're going to be doing, so let's get right into the work. Well, today I'm going to install these small mahogany spacers. They go up on the ceiling, at the ceiling beams, and they're spacers for some light fixtures I'm going to build at some point. I'd like to get them up because I want to varnish the actual ceiling beams, and it'd be nice if these were already up there. I don't want to have to mess with them later. So I just spread some 610 thickened epoxy onto all these little pieces. I put a little bit on first and kind of let it soak in a little bit. And then I put a little bit more on and just spread it out with this little plastic spreader. And I kind of just kept it in the middle because once I clamp these things up there, that stuff's just going to squeeze out everywhere. It's just going to be spending time cleaning things up, so I don't want too much on there. I use the same method when I put the pieces on the center beams. They're already up, and it worked just fine. And I've also spread some of this onto the beam areas where these are going to be installed, so they are ready to go. did have some issues when I first put them up, putting one on each side of the beam and then trying to put a clamp on there. It just wanted to move. It just wanted to slide down. I couldn't get enough clamping pressure on the clamp to actually hold it in place. But it wasn't too bad. All I did was hold it there by hand for a few seconds, and it seemed to stay by itself. So even better, I don't have to mess around with clamps, and as long as it doesn't slide off in the middle of the night, it should be fine. So yeah, that job is done. Well, here I am back at the boat again after a couple days away. It is a weekend here, and the weather today is supposed to be, well, it's late March, and the weather's supposed to be in the high 60s, so I have to take advantage of it and try to get some varnish on these beam caps I put in, and some veneers that I put in on the sides of the beams over in the galley area. So the first thing I have to do, I plugged all these last time I was here, all the screw holes, so I gotta knock down those plugs. So I got my chisel here. I am terrible at maintaining chisels. They tend to be dull, and I didn't do it this time either. Tried to a little bit, but so for that reason, I won't be chiseling them down as close as, say, a really professional woodworker would do, or somebody that maintains their chisels and can do it. So to be cautious, I'm going to leave them a little high. I don't want to just bust out a piece and have it be below the surface of the wood. I'd rather just leave it a little high and then do a little more sanding. A little more sore on the shoulders because I'm going to be overhead while I'm sanding, but I would just rather do it that way and hopefully limit the risk of going too low with it. So with that, I'll use my little dead blow hammer here. I like to use it with my chisel. And I got some safety glasses, and later on when I'm sanding, I'll put on a dust mask. I won't do it while I'm chiseling. So yeah, like I said, I might have not said it, but the plan today is to varnish. So after the chiseling, I'll be doing quite a bit of sanding. I did sand the sides already to 220, so it's basically going to be the flat lower surface that I have to sand. So with that, I guess I'll get started with it. So here's an example of what you don't want to do, or what I was trying to avoid. This isn't too bad, it'll sand out fine, but it's a little low on the left side there. But it's not bad. Got a little overconfident on that one. This one here, I don't know what I was thinking. The grain is in the opposite direction of the beam, so that's not going to sand out, but it'll be there for everyone to see, and I probably won't notice it after today. But anyways, now it's time to start sanding. So we managed to survive the first stage of sanding with the 80 grit sandpaper. I'll flip it around and show what it kind of looks like here. That's what we're looking at. Sorry for the shaking and movement. But, you know, it still needs a lot of work. You can see a little haloing around each of the plugs. But I was just kind of concentrating to try to get everything knocked down. I mean, I was really worried about my shoulders, but it's really my neck that is killing me right now. So anyways, on to the next stage. Yeah, so now that I got the 80 grit sanding done, now I'll do the whole thing with like a 120, and that'll kind of even everything out. And then I'll just progress, probably 180 and then 220, and that's probably where I'll end. I think that's all I need to do to start varnishing. So yeah, I'll do all those stages and then show you the final result. So now after doing it with the 120, I thought I'd stop and show the difference. You can see by the sheen along this beam here in the center that, you know, it's pretty flat, and you really can't see the plugs down the way. But what it does do by using the hand block sander, it leaves an edge here because it flattens it out, kind of ruins my rounded edge. So I'll just go over it with a little piece of folded up paper, and I'll just go along here a little bit more intensely, you know, when I'm not filming, but and just go over all the edges, round them back out, clean them up, and then I'll do the 180 and the 120, the entire thing, and I mean 220, and that'll be it. Okay, so there we have it. After sanding everything up to 220, this is the final product, ready to be varnished. Zoom out a little. Yeah, so that's how it turned out. It took me probably, I don't know, about an hour to finish sanding all this stuff. But it's good to go. It's been all clean, dusted. And I'm going to grab a little lunch and come back and varnish it up. I got all this to do, as well as all these sides of these beams over here. The opposite sides too. So that'll be it. So all that sanding is finished. That was a fun morning. But anyways, now we're ready to start the varnishing. I call it varnishing. I'm merely using the spar urethane. For the inside, I didn't want to use anything that was difficult to get or expensive, and since it's inside, I didn't feel like I needed anything fancy here. So I go with this Minwax Helmsman spar varnish. Works fine. I use the satin. I like the sheen on it, and yeah, I just like it. It's easy to get, like I said, and so that's what I'm using. For brushes, I just use this one I get at a big box store. It's made for oils, paints, stains, all that kind of stuff. It's not really a natural bristle, but it works really good. I've used it on a lot of my varnishing all over it, even on my outdoor, you know, exterior varnishing, where I used really a more high-end product, and they still work really good. They do come with a super duper long handle, and you feel like you're Van Gogh here painting with this thing. So I chop off probably like 3 inches of it. You know, you just can't get into tight areas with these brushes, so you know, I like it. It's just easy to handle, and it works good for me, so I stick with it. It's not the cheapest brush, but it's not the most expensive either by any means. So I guess that's it. Now we'll just let's just go start doing it. Some pieces are light. It's all basically mahogany, but it really varies, and all the woodwork from the factory installation was the same way. I mean, there's some really dark pieces, even on the doors. There's dark pieces and light pieces, and I don't really mind the look. I think it's fine. So anyway, that's why I go right into the varnish. I don't bother with staining anything. Usually have is trying to get the varnish up into these tight corners with a brush. I mean, you can't do it really, without getting varnish all over that area right there. So I'm going to do it here without getting my head in the way, but plastic spreader thing and just kind of push it up into the corner. Even here, up into this ceiling part. There you go. You don't get anything. You don't get anything on the ceiling that way, and comes out pretty good. So there's a tip. Varnish done. Came out pretty good. First coat is never the most impressive because it's just soaking into the wood. The key is to just get it on nice and smooth with not a lot of globs or drips or anything like that. You just want to get a nice smooth finish on there. That way you're not sanding unnecessarily. So tomorrow I'll come over, I'll sand with 220 and then put a second coat on. the cabin area. So until then, have a good one, and we'll see you really soon right here on Renovation Sportfish.